Another issue that we explore in each of these contests is the idea of an embedded project. Obviously, this is an embedded contest. It's all about doing embedded design. And we often struggle, I was a judge in the past in the Managing Cup, with is their project an embedded project or not? Mm-hmm. In the idea of media, how would you see, what criteria would you be putting against projects to say, is this embedded or not?
And it's going to be like even more complicated than in the past.
I think so.
As we're going to be using Windows 7, Windows Standard 7, which is based on Windows binaries, which is fully compatible with Windows, which means that you can do your app development on Windows and then have it running on your actual device, mm-hmm. running the embedded OS. I would say something really important, which is like, the question I'm going to ask myself is, can we do that to PC today? Mm-hmm. Can that be an application that runs on your actual laptop or PC at home? Mm-hmm. If that's the case, it's not an embedded project. Mm-hmm. But if there's a need for a device that comes as even if it's a PC companion, you know, mm-hmm. like kind of a device that comes assigned to a PC and works with a PC, there's a need for that device. There's a need for this guy here that is not really replacing a laptop or a computer, but it really is living by itself and has a reason to be here.
So I've got a tricky one to pose to you. So right now you can run Windows Media Center on a PC and have a PC sitting next to your TV, recording TV, working through the guide, live television, etc. With Windows Embedded Standard 7, you'll be able to do the same thing, but on an embedded device. It's basically the same hardware as your PC. Mm-hmm. How would you differentiate if someone's developed a true embedded, let's say, set-top box in this case? What would you be looking for?
I would say the experience that the user has. On a PC running Media Center, you just mentioned it, it's Windows running Media Center. Mm-hmm. On the embedded set-top box, it's Media Center, which is the shell, which is the system. You don't even know and have to know that there's an operating system underneath. There's no Explorer shell. Mm-hmm. There's nothing else running mm-hmm. than that experience that is provided by Media Center. It could be something else, right, than Media Center itself. It's right. Not because it's Media Center. Right. Media Center is an application that runs on a PC. But actually, that's an interesting question, because when you put a PC next to your TV, you end up using it just as a Media Center, right. As a dedicated device, as a specialized device. Right? So it's no longer a PC, because you don't do like Word, Excel, or web browsing, whatever. You don't do that. Right. So that PC actually is having a lot of functionalities you're not even using. Right. So it becomes a specialized device, and no longer a PC.
So the idea of how do you customize that experience to optimize for that specialized device itself? Boot into the experience. You're hiding a lot of the complexities of Windows.
What I'm saying is not that the application should not be running on Windows and could not run on Windows. Is that if that application or system is running on Windows, doesn't make sense that it's running while you're sitting at your desk with your desktop or with your laptop? If the answer is yes, then that's not a good embedded scenario. Mm-hmm. The Media Center, actually, you never ever use it on your desktop when you're on your desk or on your laptop on your laps, right? To watch media. You'd rather go for a Zoom app, or you'd rather go for media players, which are adapted to be in a Windows environment. Right. So Media Center actually becomes usable when you put your PC next to your TV and don't use it as a TV, but you use it as a specialized device. Right. That's the point. Media Center as an experience is what you're looking for. That's the specialized device experience. And it's not a PC experience anymore. It's not about spreading PC all over the place and having PCs everywhere. It's about having specialized devices running Microsoft technologies and being compatible with Microsoft technologies. That's where I see the difference.
All right. That'll be very. I think we're going to be in for some very interesting projects.
I hope so.
One of the things that the most obvious difference this year is we're on embedded standard. Yeah. How do you see as someone who's familiar with both platforms, for someone who's coming in new to the contest, or even someone who's familiar with CE, how do you see them approaching this? Are there differences that they need to be looking at as the way they approach the technology?
I think it's they are two not that different approaches, because you have two levels of work to do. One will be customizing the OS, like choosing the right components in your OS to support your experience. I'm not saying application, it's an experience you want to build, right? And to support that experience, you'll need features from the OS. So you'll have to design your OS. The same way you were doing an OS design on Windows CE, you will have to design an OS with Windows CE standard tools. Once you have that design, you have to develop an application, second step, which you had to do with Windows CE. Using Visual Studio, same tools, right? I would say the first phase will be easier with Windows standard, much straightforward.
The learning curve.
The learning curve and build and design OS will be faster with Web 7 than with Windows CE, and will allow people to spend more time on the experience itself, which is really promising for the final project.
Right, that's fantastic. Any pointers that you would have to resources, and we can obviously put up links.
I would say like our website, windowsembedded.com, and then you have the sparkcontest.com website. That would be really interesting. And I think there's something that's really interesting about that contest is the forums. These forums are really alive, and the contestants are like sharing their ideas, and they're really. I think that's a really nice community that's building. And I think it's also really interesting to arrive to a point where we're doing that with Windows CE in the past, and now we're like saying, okay, that can be done with Windows CE standard. And these two communities are not that different. And we're coming to a point where we're building and designing an OS and building an experience on top, using Visual Studio, using development languages like C, C++, C#, and so on. Using XAML and Silverlight in those systems, right? So we're coming to a point where the line between these two communities is becoming blurry, while in the past it was like distinct. And we're coming to that point where, okay, these two communities can just go along, right? They can work together and they can share their ideas. So maybe we'll see guys from the C community proposing some really like interesting hardcore embedded solutions, and being enhanced by someone coming from the web or whatever, proposing some more like high-end experience, and that maybe will do some really nice synergy.
Like an explosion.
Like an explosion.
There you go. On that, I would encourage everyone to go to the Embedded Spark website, learn more about the contest, and please join us. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think we've got a great community to offer you, as well as tools, and hope to see you in ESC Boston in 2010. Thank you.